You've been lied to your whole life. Somewhere along the way, someone told you that quiet people are weird. That silence means you have nothing to say, that if you're not performing, you're losing. But here's what nobody tells you. The most powerful people in the room, they're the ones you barely hear. And there's a reason for that. Not shyness, not insecurity, strategy. Today we're going into 4 Stoic ideas that will completely rewire how you see silence. Stick around for the 3rd one. It's going to make you look at history differently. Modern society has one rule: perform or disappear. Post more, talk more, be louder, be funnier, be more. If you're quiet, you're boring. And being boring, that's basically a crime now. But what if that's exactly the point? Here's a Stoic idea that most people completely miss. Being perceived as boring is a superpower. Think about it. When people think you're uninteresting, they stop watching you. They stop monitoring you. They stop waiting for you to slip up. They just leave you alone. And in a world that's obsessed with surveillance, social media, opinions, clout, being left alone is rare. It's actually luxury. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius didn't run around Rome flexing his philosophy. He wrote it privately, in a journal never meant to be published. He wasn't performing wisdom for applause. He was living it quietly. That's the move. When you stop performing your personality, something interesting happens. People can't get leverage on you. They can't mock what they can't see. They can't envy what you don't show. Your silence becomes a privacy screen. And in 2026, privacy is one of the most valuable things you can own. Here's the question though. If silence is camouflage, what are you hiding from? And more importantly, what are you protecting? We'll get there. But first I need to tell you something about energy, because most people are spending it wrong. You've heard of intermittent fasting. No food for 16 hours. Eat in an 8-hour window. The idea is simple. Every calorie you take in costs your body something. So protect your metabolic rate. Be efficient. Now apply that exact logic to your words. Every sentence you speak, that's a calorie. Every unnecessary opinion, that's energy out the door. Every conversation where you talked just to fill silence, gone, spent, can't get it back. Here's the truth about quiet people that nobody says out loud. They're not shy. They're not socially awkward. They are high-efficiency machines. They've done the math. Most conversation is noise. Not all of it, but most of it. Small talk, filler, verbal static. And quiet people aren't being rude when they skip it. They're protecting their bandwidth. Think about the last time you had a long, pointless conversation. You walked away drained, maybe a little hollow. That wasn't nothing. That was your mental energy walking out the door. The Stoics called this cognitive discipline. Epictetus had one rule: speak only when your words improve upon silence. That's not a soft suggestion. That's a lifestyle. Now here's where it gets interesting. Vocal fasting isn't about being cold or antisocial. It's about intentionality. When quiet people do speak, you listen, you lean in, because you know it means something. There's a word for that kind of influence. It's called gravity, and you can't fake it. You earn it by saying less, not more. But silence isn't just about saving energy. Sometimes it's something much older than that. The Japanese figured this out centuries ago, and once you hear it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Seneca said to withdraw into yourself. Most people read that as go be alone, be quiet, reflect. Fine advice. But there's a concept from Japanese philosophy that takes it further. It's called ma, M-A, and there's no perfect English translation, but here's the closest one. Ma is the space between things, the pause between notes in music, The gap between words in a conversation, the breath between movements in martial arts. Western thinking treats that space as nothing, as the absence of something real, but Japanese philosophy flips it completely. Ma is not the absence of the thing, ma is the thing. The silence between two notes is what gives both notes meaning. Without it, it's just noise. Now bring that into how you see people. Most of us watch the talker and think, that's the real person. The opinions, the stories, the performance, that's who they are. But the Stoic lens, especially paired with Ma, says something different. The talking, that's the mask. The silence, that's the person. What someone chooses not to say tells you everything. What they stay quiet about under pressure, that's character. What they don't react to when provoked, that's discipline. The noise is the costume. The silence is the soul. This hits different when you apply it to yourself. Who are you when you're not performing? Who are you when no one's watching? That's the real you. And the Stoics believed that person, the quiet, unperformed version, is the one worth building. Everything else is theater. But here's where this gets uncomfortable. Because sometimes silence isn't peace. Sometimes silence is fury. And history has one example that proves it better than anything else. Let's go back to Rome. Around 60 BC, the Republic is rotting from the inside. Corruption everywhere. Politicians bought and paid for, and one man, Cato the Younger, has had enough. But he doesn't give speeches on every corner. He doesn't write long manifestos. He doesn't perform his outrage. Instead, he walks through Rome. No shoes, cheap tunic, complete silence. Now people thought he was eccentric. Some laughed. But the people who understood power, they were terrified. Because Cato wasn't being meek. He was making a statement without saying a word. His silence was a refusal. A refusal to dress up for a corrupt system. A refusal to use the language of a society he no longer respected. He wouldn't play the game. Not even the verbal game. And that kind of silence, it's not inner peace. It's not Zen. It's a calculated middle finger. And this is what most people miss about quiet people. They assume silence is submission. They assume if you're not arguing, you agree. If you're not defending yourself, you must be guilty. But sometimes, silence is the most aggressive move on the board. When someone tries to pull you into a low-level argument, and you say nothing, you just won. When someone disrespects you publicly and you don't flinch, your silence hits harder than any comeback. Because a comeback gives them what they want. Engagement. Your silence denies them that. And denial of attention to someone who craves it is devastating. Cato knew this. He understood that some systems don't deserve your words. Some conversations don't deserve your energy. Some people don't deserve the honor of your reaction. And choosing to withhold that, that's not weakness. That's dominance. So let's bring this together. Silence is camouflage. It makes you invisible in a surveillance world. Silence is energy. Every word costs you something. Spend wisely. Silence is identity. The quiet version of you is the real version. And sometimes silence is resistance. A refusal to participate. A stoic protest. The world will keep telling you to be louder, to post more, share more, react more. It will call your silence boring. It will call your stillness weakness. Let them. Because the Stoics figured something out thousands of years ago. The person who controls their words controls their mind, and the person who controls their mind controls everything else. One last thing. Think about someone in your life who talks constantly. Now think about someone who barely speaks. Who do you trust more? Yeah, you already know the answer.